Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell yous all an awful story. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell you bout the worm. One Sunday morning Lambton went a fishing in the weir, and he catched a fish upon his hook. He thought looked very queer, but whatna kind of a fish it was, young Lambton couldn't tell. He wasn't fashed to carry gems, so he hided doon a well. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell yous all an awful story. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell you bout the worm. Now Lambton felt inclined to gan and fight in foreign wars, and he joined a troop of knights that cared for now their wounds nor scars. And off he went to Palestine, where queer things him befell, and he very soon forgot about the queer worm doon the well. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell yous all an awful story. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell you bout the worm. But the worm got fat, and it growed and growed and growed an awful size. He'd get big gob and get big teeth and get big goggly eyes. And when it knits, he crawled about, gathering bits of news. If hay grew dry upon the road, he milked a dozen cows. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell yous all an awful story. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell you bout the worm. This awful worm would often feed on calves and lambs and sheep, and swallow little bairns alive when they lay down to sleep. And when he'd eaten all he could, and he had had his fill, he crawled away and lapped his tail 10 times round Penshaw Hill. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell yous all an awful story. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell you bout the worm. The news of this most awful worm and his queer gannons on soon crossed the seas, got to the ears of brave and bold Sir John. So back he came, and he slew the worm, and he cut him into halves. That soon stopped his eating bairns and sheep and lambs and calves. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell yous all an awful story. Whisht, lads, had your gobs, and I'll tell you bout the worm. So now you know how all the folks on both sides of the weir lost lots of sleep and lots of sheep and lived in mortal fear. So let's have one for brave Sir John that kept the bairns from harm, saved coos and calves by making halves of the famous Lambton Worm. No, lads, I'll had me gob, that's all I know about the story of Sir John's clever job with the awful Lambton Worm.